Well, hello, friends. This is a special edition of Charles Chat. I say special because it's Friday. I guess the only thing that makes this unique is I'm making the video on a Friday instead of a Thursday, so maybe not so special, but different. Anyway, I had intended on making this video yesterday. In fact, a few times I did make that attempt and failed at that attempt. The reason being, I was driving to Beggs, Oklahoma yesterday, which is about 3 hours southwest of Wichita, Kansas, where I live. And I was driving down there to attend a funeral and had a lot of things on my mind on the way down and had a few extra minutes here and there to try to make the video, and I just couldn't pull it off, so we're going to do it now. I'm back home. I was wanting to talk just briefly about my friend Germaine. The funeral I attended yesterday was for his father. I only met his father maybe once or twice in the 30 years or so that I've known Germaine. Germaine is probably one of my oldest friends. I met him when I was in junior high. Germaine happens to be probably the first black friend I ever made and still have. I remember meeting him very well. I was in junior high, about 9th grade maybe, and the church I was attending at the time was doing an outreach that summer in Tulsa, where I was living, and where our outreach regarded going to an apartment complex on the other side of town and helping clean up and remodel some things and build a volleyball sand pit and basically reach out to them, practically speaking, and invite them to Vacation Bible School and a camp that we went to, and just kind of start a partnership with another part of town that we didn't visit very often. And that's where I met Germaine. It was on maybe a Thursday or Friday night, and we were playing basketball outside, and I was getting tired of being dunked on, and so I decided to go stand in a food line to have some dinner. And Germaine was making his way up and down that food line, just kind of greeting people. He had just gotten done from, I think maybe a karate class, and so he was still in his gear, or gi maybe. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but he came up to me and introduced himself, and that was kind of the beginning of our friendship. We started getting to know each other, and I started bringing him to church every Sunday and taking him home, and we did that for many years. And even though I went off to college and seminary, and I still kept in touch with Germaine as much as possible. Germaine is just maybe a few years older than me, so we're pretty close in age, and there are two things that I've really appreciated about him over the years. I think about how God drew us together. The first has to do with just his heart of service. Germaine has always been an eager beaver when it comes to serving people. He doesn't have to be asked to serve, but if he is asked to serve, he is more than willing to do it. I think about how much he cared for his mom and dad. He lost his mom a few years ago suddenly. He lost his dad just a few weeks ago pretty suddenly. Just really, it was a servant to both of them, spoke highly of them, very quick to help them in whatever way he possibly could. And just serve the church well, cooking food for us, for many of us over the years, bringing food, being willing to come outside and sweat a little bit to serve a widow or widower, and just a real servant's heart. The second thing that I really appreciate about Germaine, maybe is more personal than anything else, but Germaine, as I said earlier, is probably my first black friend, and we have never had tension in our relationship because of our different skin colors. And a lot of that probably has to do with both of us not making it an issue, but I would say the biggest part of that is I think the gospel has changed our hearts to not make it an issue. I think about what Paul said in Ephesians chapter 2. He talked about the gospel taking down the dividing wall of hostility, and obviously when he said that, he was saying that about Jews and Gentiles, but universal truth applies to all of us. The gospel is what makes skin color somewhat irrelevant when it comes to unity. I've always felt that with Germaine. I've never really felt like his skin color kept me from being his friend, and I've never felt like my skin color has kept him from befriending me. And I really love that about him. I love that because the gospel has made that possible. And it's such a blessing to have those kinds of relationships and friendships. The reason I drove to Beggs, Oklahoma is because I believe in the ministry of presence. I believe it's always better to be at someone's side when they're grieving than not be there. In fact, last thing Germaine said to me yesterday wasn't, "Thank you for saying this, thank you for praying this." He simply said, "Thank you for being here." That's all. And I would just encourage and exhort you to keep that in mind the next time you have a loved one grieving. Probably the best thing you can do is show up and be at their side. And you don't have to have a speech planned or even a devotional thought ready to go. Just to be at their side, I think, is usually enough, and they will remember that for the duration of their life. And anyway, I just wanted to share that a little bit today and talk about some of the things I not just appreciate about him, but I think mostly, hopefully, highlight the gospel, highlight the fact what the gospel can do, and remind all of us that unity is built on things that Christ does for us, that he did for us on the cross and the tomb. I'm so thankful for that. Hope you have a great weekend.